Okay, so in our third video here, we're going to take a look at two more similar problems. This problem says our slope is 2 and our y-intercept is -1. So just like before, I'm going to go ahead and put a point on my y-intercept. It's -1. So I'm going to find my y-axis, the one that goes up and down. I'm going to place a point right there at -1. Then I see my slope is 2, so that means my slope is going to go up 2 spaces and over 1. So I'll do that again. My slope of 2 means I go up 2 spaces and then 1 to the right to get my slope. Now I could keep plotting more points if I went up another 2 spots and over 1, up another 2 spots and over 1. I could keep doing that as many times as I wanted, but to make my line, I only need 2 points. I'm going to use that line tool, click on one point, click on another point, and it's going to make my line. Now when I write the equation, I'm going to use that same point slope form that we talked about in class. So I'm going to say y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to say y equals my slope, which is 2. That tells us right there our slope is 2x plus our y-intercept. Now our y-intercept is a -1, so I could either write 2x plus -1, or I could just write 2x minus 1. Either way. So this time our slope is going to flip. This time our slope is -2 and our y-intercept is +1. So let's see how that would look differently. So our y-intercept, instead of being located down here at -1, it's going to be up here. It's going to be at +1. So remember in our last problem we had a -1. Now we have a +1 as our y-intercept. For my slope, I'm going to do the same trick. I'm going to start at my y-intercept, and I'm going to count this time down 2 spaces because my slope is negative, and then 1 space to the right. And remember, I can keep doing this pattern over again, down 2, 1 to the right, down 2, 1 to the right. I can do that as many times as I want until I run off the page. And I'm going to take my line, click on 2 of the points that I've graphed, and it's going to make a new line for me for all of my answers. So when I have to write my equation, we're going to use the same formula we talked about in class. Y equals mx plus b. We said that m is my slope. So instead of writing mx, I'm going to write y equals -2x. And my y-intercept is 1. That's what we're going to tack on to the end. Y equals 2x plus 1. And that's going to give me my equation. So we're going to look at one last graphing problem today. This time we have a fraction as our slope. So like with all my other problems, I'm going to graph my y-intercept first. My y-intercept is at -1, so I'm going to place a point -1 on my y-axis. This time it says my slope is -1/2. So this time instead of going just 1 unit to the right, I'm going to go -1, so down 1, but then I'm going to go 2 spaces over to the right. Now, when we looked at these other problems, it just had -2 as our slope. But we know really if we were to put that into fraction form, it would be -2 over 1. That over 1 means every time we go to the right 1 space, it goes down 2 spaces. In this time, every time we go to the right 2 spaces, it's going to go down 1 space. -1 over 2 means down 1 space, over to the right 2 spaces. And I can repeat that pattern, down 1 space, over 2 spaces, down 1 space, over 2 spaces. And then I'll use my line tool, click on one point, click on a second point, and make my line.